Neil here, the Twisted Light Worker, with video number 3 in the series on putting on the armor of God. Video number 1 was all about what is the armor of God. Video number 2 is standing in your power, wearing the armor of God. Don't worry, I'll put the links to the first videos down below. You'll always find links in the bottom of my videos, all related to the video that you're just watching. So this video is all about perception. How does perception change the power of putting on the power of God, the armor of God? When we put on the armor of God, we're standing in our power if we do it right. It's not just a mere words. It's something that we actually do. It's an action step. It's a practice. And perception is everything. In the Bible it says, "Seek and ye shall find, and the kingdom of God is within you." If you go back to video number 1, I talked about the 70 to 100 trillion cells that you have in your body, and every one of those cells has the power of God inside them. And every one of those cells makes up who you are. And therefore, you physically have the power of God right within you, within every single cell. And that's a humorous thing because we're never alone. You know, there's a story of a little boy. He was pulling a wagon full of firewood up the hill, taking it back to his cabin. And he was just cursing away because it was very heavy load and it was a steep hill to climb. And a preacher heard him and went running up the hill and says, "Little Johnny," he says, "you shouldn't be swearing like that." And little Johnny says, "Well, nobody was here hearing me." And the preacher says, "Yeah, God is everywhere. He hears you." And little Johnny looked at him and says, "Well, God is everywhere? Does that mean he's in the grass?" And the preacher says, "Yes." "Is he in the air around me and in the sky?" "Yes." "Is he in the firewood and is he in the wagon? Is he in the wagon, for Pete's sake?" And the preacher says, "Yes, God is everywhere." And little Johnny looked at the preacher and says, "Well, if he's in the wagon, tell him to get the hell out and push." And you know what? Science has proven, metaphysics has proven that everything is nothing more than one big field of vibrations. So we have this big field. There we are. And everything in this field is vibrating. Vibrating gives us the illusion of existence. You heard me right. Give us the illusion of existence. So here we are in that field of vibrations. And as I showed you in video number 2, you're here and you've got all these different trajectories of which way you could actually make your next move. Make your next move in the next minute. So you're always faced with millions of ideas and different choices that you can make in every single second. And it's difficult being conscious of being conscious. Being conscious of being conscious is not an easy fact. It's a practice. And perception changes everything. In that field of the universe that I just showed you, if a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear it if there's nobody around? Is there even a sound? The answer to that is, of course, no. If there's no animals or birds or people or living beings in the area where the tree falls, all it is vibrations in the field of the universe. It takes eardrums that vibrate with the vibrations of the tree falling that stimulates the result that we actually hear sound. But without an eardrum of a bird or an animal or a human, there's no sound. It's just vibrations. So perception means a lot. So when you seek for the kingdom of God within you, you have to recognize that that power of the universe, that spark of the divine, is inside every one of those 70 to 100 trillion cells that are in your body. And perception is absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. In the Toltec, they break it down in a number of steps. It says they have 3 levels of attention. Whatever you're putting your attention on and your awareness on, that's the levels of attention. So there's 3 levels of attention. And perception only sees sameness. If you only see sameness, you're at the first level of attention. The people who say that we're all the same, we're all one. We're all one. And that is true in the sense that we're all in the field of the universe. We're all there. All of us, every single human being, every animal, everything is in that field of the universe, in that field of vibrations. But to see that we're all one, that's only just the first level of attention. Perception sees a greater diversity. That's the second level of attention. And perception sees the source of the greater diversity. That is the third level of attention. If you go back into video 2, I talked about the difference between clarity and lucidity. When you clear, you see what's there around you. But when you're lucid, you get to that point where you actually tune into the source of those vibrations. The source. The ether. The ether is real. The ether is real. In fact, I'll put a link below to a fellow that did an awful lot of metaphysical studies, and he's got a video that he's called, Yes, Timmie, the ether is real. So I'll put that link in below. So the first attention is the clarity. The second attention begins the lessons of lucidity and loosens one from clarity, because clarity is a trap. See, clarity puts us in our head. Totally puts us in our head. Everything with clarity is reasoning. And sadly, we've been taught to just reason. The third attention is where you get to the lucidity. So, what I just shared with you there, in those few minutes so far in this video, that topic could probably fill a volume of books. Most definitely fill a volume of books. It's deep. Metaphysics is deep. When you start to tune into the source of creation, that source is in every single cell of your body. That spark of the divine is in every single cell of your body. And once again, every one of those cells in your body doesn't do me any damn good at all. They're all your friends, they're not mine. You're never alone. You have source with you all the time. So perception is extremely important when you're putting on the armor of God. Let's go back and finish this here. I'll make me smaller. And we'll make this bigger so you can actually read it. Where are we going here? Our first attention proclivity is to see that everyone is human. I should put my eyes on, or my glasses on. There we are. Our first attention proclivity is to see that everyone is human and that we are all one. The second attention sees the hidden fine nuances that differentiate individual from individual. From this, a warrior seeks the patterns and trends of differentiation and get to an idea of the source that produces such differentiation. This is just the training for seeing the patterns and the trends in the dreaming worlds that exist in the 𝕚𝕟𝕡𝕚𝕚, and that's the ether, which is everywhere and everything. The ether is 0-point energy. The ether is source. The ether is God's consciousness that's right inside that wagon that the little boy was pulling up the hill. So the source of creation is a dream creator and a world creator and a universe of dreams and worlds creator. It's an infinite number of infinities in infinity. Totally. An infinite number of infinities in infinity. There is much to become lucid about. It is possible to see the source of creation in the dream of the world when it is compared and contrasted to the alien world. Let's read that again. It is possible to see the source of creation in the dream of the world when it's compared and contrasted to the alien world. You get a deeper lucidity. So perception. How much do you see? Our eyes are only capable of seeing a limited number of frequencies in the light spectrum. So our perception is very narrow compared to what reality really is. But when you become lucid, you may not see the vibrations of different colors of frequencies that our human eyes can't see, but your intuition can pick up. What do you think intuition really is? Intuition is the power of God that speaks inside of each and every one of us. The power of God speaking to us through ourselves. It's perception. What do you perceive? We've been taught, and literally MK Ultra programmed, to shut our intuition off. To shut it off. We do everything with reasoning. It doesn't work that way. We're missing out the whole God consciousness. Our intuition is extremely, extremely valuable. And the more you're aware of your intuition, the more lucid you become, because then you start to reach to the source of what it is that you're actually seeing and experiencing. People who have developed extreme intuition, oftentimes they'll answer the phone knowing who it is without looking at the modern gadget that tells you who's calling. That gadget is actually a gadget that was created to stop us from using our intuition. It's an MK Ultra program. I use an old phone. I don't have call display. And it shocks me how many times. No, it doesn't. It makes me feel grateful how many times I know who it is that's calling when I pick up the phone. Sometimes it's people I haven't heard from for quite a while. The power of the intuition, the power of God, how it speaks to us, has been MK Ultra programmed out of us. And that's why they want to get us all trapped into transhumanism and believing that the power of the internet, the power of television and in our imagination, they want to take us away from our God consciousness. They want to do that. But when we put on the armor of God, those things, we are aware of them and we beware. We're cautious of them. Yeah, we're cautious of them. Our perception changes. when you have a picture on the wall and it just doesn't seem to fit, but you really like the picture, when you take time and put a different frame around it, different matting around it first, and then a different frame, you may throw away the wood frame because of your room and your furniture and the way you have your place designed. You may throw away the wood frame and put in a brass one. And the matting color you may change from gray to cream and then hang it in the room. That same picture will stand out as absolutely being gorgeous and fits. So perception is much more than most people think it is. Perception is very powerful in putting on the armor of God, because we perceive our reality through our perception. silly, twisted light worker. So, when there is no comparison possible, all you get is the one-dimensional clarity of the framework of the mold of man, which is the mold of man. Mold is our breaking down, it's our destruction, that had configured the dream of the world for the limitation of the mind and imagination. It's a sad state that rules the dream of existence in the dream of the world. See, in the Toltec, they say there's a dream of the world and there's a dream of the planet. The dream of the world is more akin to the way the ego sees things, through reasoning and through clarity of perception. The first level of attention, first level attention. That's the dream of the world. It gets us all wrapped up into buying material things and busting our butts to earn $1 so that we can buy something better. That's all just the first attention. And we're programmed there. We're programmed. But when we start to put on the armor of God and awaken our intuition and awaken our connection to the divinity that's inside each and every one of ourselves, we begin to see the world as more lucid. And then we step into the dream of the planet. Because the dream of the world is of the ego, and the dream of the planet is more of the collective vision of humanity and where we fit in the grand scheme of things. And the grand scheme of things is massive. It goes way out into the ends of the universe. Just like our thoughts. Like I said, our thoughts are things. They create our reality. Our thoughts are things. They create our reality. And when we have a shift in our perception, we'll have a shift in the thoughts. And when we have a shift in the thoughts, we'll create a new reality. Something totally different, something totally better. Survival is determined by the force you create. Video number 2, stand in your power. God hath not given a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of sound mind. So survival is determined by the force you create. If you can create a sustaining force for your survival, you may even be assured. Your survival is assured, I should say. Your survival may be assured if you can create that force and sustain it. If the force is efficient and elegant, it could reach impeccability. With such a force, you will thrive. And with such a force, we will change the vibrations on the planet, and we will create something totally beautiful, totally wonderful, magnificent, just like we are, 100 trillion cells, each one with the spark of the divine. Created that cell just for you. just for you. The hardest thing to do in the world is to assume the mood of the warrior. It's of no use to be sad or complain and feel justified in doing so, believing that someone is always doing something to us. Nobody is doing anything to anybody, much less to a warrior. So you see, the mood of the warrior is putting on the armor of God. The armor of God is putting on the mood of the warrior. It's a discipline. It's a practice. It's learning to listen to that intuition, that spark of the divine that's inside you. It's going against the MK Ultra programming that we only use our reasoning mind and our level of clarity, the first level of attention. We want to get away from that. We want to get a lot deeper. The mood of the warrior, when you learn to practice, or when you practice, you'll learn how to put that second level of attention into your life. You become aware of being aware. You become conscious of being conscious. And your lucidity begins. And with the power of our thoughts, we create a different reality. We create a different life for ourselves and for others. And it starts off, it takes practice to feel that power of the warrior spirit. But then the warrior spirit begins to build you. So at first you build the warrior spirit. At first you build that connection to the divinity within you. At first the practicing opens that all up. And then the warrior spirit starts to guide you with huge power. Your intuition will tell you, you want to meet a certain person. You haven't seen him for a long time, or haven't seen her for a long time, and you just have this notion you want to see her or see him. You'll be guided through synchronicities. Yeah. No luck. You'll be guided to bump into them. You'll know right where they happen to be. The warrior spirit builds you once you get the ego's chatter shut off. So putting on the armor of God is so much more and more powerful than the majority of people have any clue about. A warrior must cultivate the feeling that he has everything needed for the extravagant journey that is his life. What counts for a warrior is being alive. Life in itself is sufficient, self-explanatory, and complete. Therefore, one may say without being presumptuous that the experience of experiences is being alive. Perception is so much more than just a word. Clarity to see what's going on around you is just the first level of attention. You want to get to the third level, because when you're a third level, you're listening to that warrior spirit inside. That warrior spirit inside is guiding you. And it has given you the power of creation, because after all, the power of creation is at the center of 100 trillion cells in your body. You are a result of the power of creation. And when you open up and you put on that power of God and you become more lucid, it guides you and gives you a huge understanding and a huge power. And moving vehicles always get the gas. If you're sitting there doing nothing, the weeds in the garden are going to take over. You may even be clear in your thinking and seeing. In clarity, you'll see the word weeds in the garden. But if you don't take action steps to pull the damn weeds out, you're still not going to have any garden produce to put into your freezer. But when the warrior spirit, when your perception reaches that point where you'll be aware of being aware, and your intuition starts to guide you, not only will you see with clarity the weeds in the garden, you will know exactly what action steps you can do to help pull the damn weeds out. So putting on the armor of God it is so powerful. John 14:10 through 12. Look it up. Who are the ones coming to do more? Jesus showed us the way. The way's there. The light is on that path. Are you hearing it? Are you feeling it? Or do you only just see the first level of attention and see the words? It's deep. Putting on the armor of God is deep. Putting on the armor of God is powerful. Being the twisted light worker, I could give you a whole bunch of examples of how the warrior spirit has guided and protected me. I'll share with you just a couple simple ones now. One time I was sitting at a red light, and the light turned green, and I was all by myself in my pickup in Calgary. And I stepped on the gas, and I literally heard a voice inside says, "No." I slammed on the brakes, and a car come flying up over the hill, must have been doing about 80 miles an hour in the city of Calgary, and right on through that red light. Had I not heard the warrior spirit's call to stop, I wouldn't be here giving you this video. And that is only a small example of how the warrior spirit has guided my life. I call myself the twisted light worker because I am one, and it's been all my life. It took me a long time to stand in my power, like video number 2, but I've been aware of my shaman attributes all my life. I have a very personal relationship with Jesus, and it's deep. It's extremely deep. I've been lucky in my life to have studied metaphysics and all the different courses and stuff that I have endeavored to follow in my journey to this time in my life. And all of it has been in preparation for this marvelous time that we are in right now. So I encourage you to listen inside. Listen deep. The vibrations of spirit are subtle. The voice of the warrior spirit, your intuition, how God speaks to you, is subtle. You have to quiet the ego's chattering and get deep without fear of being deep. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of sound mind. I feel that's enough to give you today. In the link below, I'll give you the link to video number 1 and 2, and also to one on how to combat MK Ultra. And Yes, Timmie, the ether is real. You'll find those and maybe a couple others I'll think of putting in there. But until next time, I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to listen to this talk, and especially want to reach out with a big thanks for those who have bought me a coffee, because I have a buy me a coffee link in the description below. So I leave you this with all my heart, and I leave you with love, and even deeper than love is peace. You can have love without peace, but you can't have peace without love. It's automatic. So I wish for you peace profound. I wish for you peace profound.